What's up everybody, knife review time. This is a blade that I have featured in a recent EDC update, but I didn't upload that video simply because it was stupid. It was really bad. So this is the knife. It's the Böker Plus Steel Ranger. This is a dagger styled fixed blade with a broad spear point blade. And there you have it. We All Juggle Knives Israel recently reviewed this on his channel, so I had to pull the trigger because he actually endorsed this Böker blade. After getting it, I do not regret it, but yeah, I paid 50 euros for it. In the US it cost around $45 with shipping. I pay sometimes as much as 20 bucks shipping. It would be even more expensive for me to get it from the US, even though it is a German knife brand, made in China, obviously 440C steel. It has a stonewashed blade. I don't know if you can pick it up as well as I can. And yeah, just some medium issues I have with this blade. One, the size is great, not an issue. Has a double guard that is actually jumped. That is very nice also. The stonewashed finish, I like stonewash. It is not executed very well. There is at least 2 millimeters of unstonewashed blade just behind the edge bevel. The point is pretty dull. Even from the top, it isn't sharpened all the way. The grind itself is quite broad and not it's not the same width on both sides. The swedge, this is a design issue I have. I think the swedge would be just more attractive if it would come back here like this shoulder here from the edge grind. But that is just, you know, personal preference. What I do not like, let's get to the issues, and let's get to the sheath after that. Look how dirty the jimping is inside. It is not cleaned out, it is not properly ground, and all the jimping back here, same problem. I don't know if you can see that. The camera won't focus, but it's really dirty. It's really black in there. So just quality control. And on the bottom as well, model number 0386, or this is the production number, I don't know. And that's it for the markings, just Böker Plus here and 440C on the other side. What I really do hate is the execution of the handle scales. You should be able to pick it up. I think I have some white paper here. So you can see here on this part the tang, it is a full tang knife, skeletonized of course, but the tang is flush with the scale on this part. Here the jimping is raised and here it is raised as well. On the other side it is raised all the way. On the back it is raised on this curve. On this one it is not. It is also flush here. And that probably could translate that they haven't milled out the G10 scales correctly. And I tried to switch them over, maybe that would have fixed the issue, but the screws are Loctited in there so damn well you cannot move the screws. That's a bummer. And what is really bad is I have something here that can show you that. The holes, the way they are drilled on the G10 scales, they do not line up for shit. I mean, you can see here I can get through, but here there is probably a millimeter of the G10 overlapping. On the other holes as well, you have a really deep crater here on both sides. G10 scales on both sides are not lined up with the holes in the actual tang of the blade. So that is really bothersome considering the price. 50 euros is a rather expensive knife for me. Sometimes I pay for $30 knives, $20 shipping. Of course I consider that into the value of the overall knife, but then again it's a $30 knife and I paid for shipping, so it would get to me over, you know, half the planet distance wise. But this is just shitty production, really shitty. I have another production blade here. This is a cold steel mini tack Tanto. This is made in Taiwan. And this one has perfect execution. I mean, the holes are perfectly lined up with the steel. Sometimes, only sometimes, you may have maybe a micrometer of overlap of the G10 scales on the outside of the handle, but you can easily sand that down. Try to sand down on the inside of these holes, it will not work. It will blemish the handle, and that's just bad execution. Bad Böker, you fucked up another beautiful knife design otherwise, but well, that's common with Böker. The G10 has some blemishes here. Looks like it's been rubbed off a little bit. OD green, the tint of the OD green is pretty matte, I would say. It's not too dark. I kind of like the color. It would go great with a Kydex sheath, of course, because of the overall blade design. It's more like a tactical knife than an EDC knife, because it has just a mid-high grind, so not a utility grind, more like a defensive. The tip is blunt, like I told you. Really digging in there. Don't do this at home, but with this knife, this is just a bad grind job. So let's get to the sheath. Much like cheap fixed blade Kershaw knives, this is a glued leather construction with one line of stitching, very cheaply made. This one has actually 4 pieces of leather glued together. The clip is very decent actually. I really do like the clip option as opposed to a loop. The snap button is not as snappy as I would like it to be. And there's another issue. This is very, very tight. So you have to be sure that the blade is in the sheath all the way. And the way you deploy it, I carry it right side 4 o'clock, clipped to my belt or the inside of my jeans or pants and the belt. So to deploy it, you grab it like so. You can get a 4-finger full hand grip, unsnap the leash, the latch, and this one doesn't have to be in the way. It doesn't have to be out of the way, I mean. So you just unlatch it and slide it out. That's the way you deploy this knife. You can put it in both ways. If you want to carry it left side, of course, then the snap button is on the back. So that's kind of something to practice. What I really hate is how this is executed when you have it clipped to your belt or to your side. Because to get this snap button back closed, this is gonna be an issue, because this is the very proximal, the most proximal point to your body. There's like no space because it's pressed against your body, no matter how fat or how skinny you are. But to get this snap button back closed, this is just not very, very well thought. And let's do cutting test, I think, and then that's it. This is nice paper. I will not cut this one because this is great for writing with fountain pens and ink. I will get some cheap paper here, and I had to strop it. That's why it's so sharp, because much like the tip, the blunt tip, the grind was not sharp at all. It would rip the paper, but after just 2 minutes of stropping, I could get it to this sharpness level, which is very adequate. especially for a Böker knife or Böker. The tip does not pierce. I mean, I'm really putting some pressure on it. That's kind of a bummer. Just really blunt tip. I have to work on this, but I didn't do it before this video, so I could show you how it was executed from the factory. So Böker Plus Steel Ranger, good overall knife, much too expensive for the quality it offers, and yeah, kind of recommended, but only with limitations. The limitations I told you about. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night. Roll Tide, y'all.